Innuendo. In the darkling wood the fairy brethren stood amidst the burning sage to do the ritual of alum cage. And there in time and space aligned did the universe but make a fairy babe. And so the babe was named David, after the great and heroic man who ruled Jerusalem. And so they took the babe up to Quarter Hill to see the maiden fairy named Underhill. And she so lightly stood above the parcel few to give the babe her fairy dust in the form of dew. And all the land and all the animals began to howl, and thus the fairy Gypsum was born to the covenant. Now on this day not far from there, the great and terrible mage Alibir was ranting and raving in his cavern old, so perplexed that another fairy was born, for he had sworn by the sword to destroy all fairy kind, for he was a Malatine. Now he being the last of his kind, Alibir was lonely and ill-defined. The fairy prince Admar had burned the villages of his homeland, Maladar, and left him with a scar. Now this babe, Gypsum was her name, was the daughter fair, and fairer still, of Admar, prince of Quarter Hill. And so Alibir stood raving above the mighty staving lands before his hand, and he swore with might, I will get that child, Gypsum, child, even if I have to steal her fairy light. And so for a time things went on as once they did, and Quarter Hill prospered in a wealth so grand that the maiden fairy blessed the land. But old Alibir, so wise, took it upon himself to send his monkey spies. And so the spies went down into the keep, and they rummaged around not far from Gypsum's tiny feet. And when young Gypsum had turned 16, old Alibir, the mage to fear, recalled his monkey spies. They told him many lies, and being very wise, he did not believe a word he heard, for these monkeys were a free people he had enslaved. However, unlike Wizard of Oz, these monkeys did not fly, and they lived in a cave. So the cave monkeys went back to their little holes and played with rocks as big as bowls. And old Alibir grew even more wicked, for young Gypsum was ripe for the picking. And so he went down to Quarter Hill, where he faked as if he were ill. And going forth he went to hospital, and all the fairies had an oath that they would not harm an injured hostile. Little had that done for his family back in Maladar, and so Gypsum worked in the hospital. And when Alibir saw her fear, he said, Spark not, my child, for I am here. And he grew wildly mad about her tiny pointed little ears, her roundish face and little snout, and the way in which she would pout. And she was emblazoned with pity, and she felt that even with his hideous scar, Alibir was quite spiffy. She spoke in the fondling tongue, Oh, Alibir, you swoon me so, my light tinkles like a literal show. And so they were wed in bed, and the whole of Quarter Hill was joyous, and there was much pomp and circumstance. They had a dance, and young Gypsum blossomed anew, and Alibir too. Then the maiden fairy let rain, a single train of beauty sprayed across the land, and all was happy, and the cave monkeys were released, and no longer could Gypsum eat beef, for in the religion of the Malatine beast none could eat beef. And so the world was one and all was good until the honeymoon, when Gypsum showed Alibir the rest of the darkling wood. Alibir was astonished. There were cave monkeys more than his eyes could see. And so he said, Go free, cave monkeys, and speak. And all the cave monkeys in all the land were finally able to stand, for this had been denied so long to their kind, a privilege for the few. 'Twas a wonderful day, the day the cave monkeys garnered their due.